Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting of the Peoria County Board. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'm Andrew Rand. I have the responsibility of chairing this event from time to time. It's a unique evening as we are here tonight for one agenda item only, and that is to appoint a replacement to the vacancy in the Peoria County State's Attorney's Office. So I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand, excuse me, for the moment of silence followed by a Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Before the clerk calls roll, I just want to recognize there are several honored guests here tonight. I didn't make a list. Most of you know who you are. There's also some very honored guests here, the Brady family. I see Chris and Mrs. Sue Brady, Mr. and Mrs. John T. Brady. I don't think I'm missing any other Bradys, am I? Glad to have you here. Also several members from the courthouse and elected officials, city council members here I see as well. But I'd also like to welcome Emilia and Georgia Pastucia. Would you stand? Is this your first time here? No, I didn't think so. So did your mom promise you something for coming with her tonight? No? Other than you'd have a chance to see maybe a little bit of history made? Awesome. Welcome. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand, okay? Mr. Clerk.
Roll call. (15) Present, Mr. Chairman. Next, citizens' remarks.
Thank you very much. Is there any particular order either Ms. Cannon, Mr. Wade, or Ms. Timms want to go in? Ms. Cannon, welcome.
Thank you. Should I just stand here? Is this good?
Sure, that's fine. Thank you.
All
Welcome.
righty. Thank you. I can kind of do this. Good afternoon, Chairman Rand and the county board members. I am Sherry Cannon, and I reside on Woodview Avenue in Peoria. I'm here speaking on behalf of the NAACP. President Marvin Hightower is on vacation. He and his wife are celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary, so I am standing in his stead tonight. And I'm here to share the concerns of the NAACP's branch of Peoria and the African American community at large in regard to the openings and appointments in the county, in particular, the appointment of state's attorney. The U.S. prison population has gone from 300,000 in 1972 to 2.3 million today. Criminal justice reform and the cost of incarceration went from $6 billion in 1980 to $80 billion in 2018. In every courtroom in Peoria County, the defendant or respondent is 2.4 times more likely to be African American than white. Even though Peoria County's demographics are 72% white and 19% African American. According to the Illinois Justice Information Authority, in 2014, 68.5% of all people that were sent to prison in Peoria County were black. We do not believe that we are more criminally inclined than any other ethnicity, but we do believe that our communities are over-policed while being underserved. Fines and fees assessed to the citizens of the African American community are at greater rates than any other community in this state, and we are only second in the Midwest to Ferguson, Missouri. The Journal-Star recently wrote a piece stating that according to the Illinois State Police, Peoria County is second only to Cook County in the number of juveniles facing criminal charges in 2018 and for the first 3 months of 2019. That's in Peoria County. Once a young person gets into the criminal justice system, we all know that that's a direct route to the school to prison pipeline. Black families in Peoria County have their children removed from their homes at much higher rates than any other county in this state. These actions are initiated by the state's attorney's office. According to the Center for Adoption Studies at Illinois State University, in the fiscal year 2015, 63% of all children in foster care in Peoria County were black. In 2018, that rate increased to 69%. The damage done to these children in separating them from their families is often irreparable. Peoria County has been resistant to working with people attempting to get their criminal records expunged and in waiving fees and fines for those who are unable to pay those fees because of unable to be getting full employment. State's attorneys in the rest of the states are working to give people second chances through the expungement system. The state's attorney position is the most powerful position in any county with a tremendous amount of discretion. And we in the black community are not willing to accept another state's attorney who will continue to criminalize our community, which in effect destroys our families. 4 of the people at the Peoria County's office, state's attorney's office, have been there over 20 years. And these are the very people who have filed these excessive charges, which resulted in the removing of our children from our homes and sending our, many of our citizens to prison. We do not expect any change. We do not expect any change with the appointment of Judge Hoos, who spent 14 years in the state's attorney's office, serving from 2007 to 2014. And when she became the chief of felony division, and has stated that she doesn't see any need to change within the office. We're very disappointed that the voices of the black community was not taken into consideration in making this appointment, but we do plan to speak loudly and clearly at the ballot box in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Bam. Mr. Wade, welcome.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
county board members. I also want to acknowledge and give my condolences to the Brady family on your loss. I knew Mr. Brady. He was a great man. I had a lot of respect for him. I really did. I do want to open up and say and echo a lot of what Sherry had spoken to. As a person of color, I also have a lot of concern with relation to the appointment of Ms. Hoos. I'm not familiar with Ms. Hoos. I have looked at her record. However, I'm very familiar with this community, and I know that the plight of what's going on in Peoria has been noted across the nation, if not globally, with relation to the plight of African American communities. It disturbs me as a person of color that grew up in this community, has known this community, and works in this community, and belonging to several aspects of this community. African American, LGBT, disabled communities. I'm very concerned. That is a very powerful position. And I am a little dismayed and disheartened that the communities of color were not included, or at least leadership from these populations, in this process of the appointment and finding out more information. I know that there were a couple of applicants to this application process that we were in support of, knew little about, but at the same time, we will be vigilant in moving forward until the election time. We hope that Ms. Hoos does her best to be reconciled with a lot of the aspects and the intersections of what's going on in this community as it relates to communities of color, and not just communities of color. We're looking at immigrants. We're looking at the LGBT community as it intersects with the criminal justice system. And there's a lot to be said with what's going on. Current climate and the administration that we're currently living under, number 45, has been revealing a lot. And you have a heavy task ahead of you. I just need you to know that some of us will be keeping a very vigilant eye on the work that you do. I don't know your work. I support you. However, I think that there's a lot of shoes to be filled. Mr. Brady was a great man. He really was. But at the same time, you understand what's going on in our community. And I hope you will try to make a difference. And I hope you will also look at the need for certain changes to happen within your office. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Ms. Rand.
Ms. Timms. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Rand and the board. I am Valerie Timms, and I am also speaking for on behalf of the NAACP. I'm thinking what I'm addressing is a little bit about the process, so just bear with me here. A little closer? Okay, I'm sorry. Upon hearing that this special meeting posted Friday, August 2nd, would pertain to the appointment of the Peoria County State's Attorney, one would get the impression that this would be a chance to find out about the status of the appointment and, as always, allow the public to voice their feelings, concerns, and expectations. It would allow the county board to be transparent in their process to make needed county appointments. We know that the board chairman makes the appointment, but one would hope that the county committees would have input and their input would be taken into consideration when making the decisions. It states on the Peoria County website that we take our responsibility to approve appointments very seriously and strive to ensure they are made in the best interest of the county community and the candidate. When you have not given the county communities a chance to voice their thoughts, opinions, and wants before the decision is made on an appointment, then it is not in the best interest of the communities. If you are not addressing the blatant lack of diversity in the Peoria County governing body, especially with 5 appointments needing to be made, then it is not in the interest of the community, especially the African communities. There is a need for a county diversity officer position to help facilitate closing this huge gap of approximately 815 Peoria County employees. Under 10% of them are African Americans. If you have not taken into consideration the astounding numbers of African Americans, Peoria County African Americans, in the justice system and the foster care system before making the state's attorney appointment, then it is not in the best interest of the communities. Especially, again, the African American community. The selection of our state's attorney is a powerful appointment and has a huge impact on the African American community. And I'm getting emotional, and I'm really sorry. Because I just can't imagine that with so much happening and with so much coming, it's coming from the state, the legislature, that hopefully I can only pray that the questions, good questions, were asked of you and that your answers were forthcoming and that you plan on having a plan that will take into consideration all the atrocities and the things that are happening. And without input from those that are being affected by it the most, I hope that you will reach out and seek some information and some feelings and concerns, because it's very, very important that we do that. By this announcement being made on Monday, and here we are on Tuesday, I can just think that this is just like a lame duck situation here going on. I don't know. But we will be very transparent, voicing our frustrations, expectations, and concerns, again, on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Timms. I don't have anyone else's required comment cards. Is there anyone else who forgot to fill one out that is desirous to address me or the board? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Timms.
Next, zoning ordinance and resolutions. Item 1, County Board Chairman appointments, Peoria County State's Attorney.
Thank you. Can I get a motion, please, to put the item on the floor?
I would like to make the motion to approve Chairman Rand's appointment of Judge Judy Hoos as Peoria County's next state's attorney. Now, with that being said, let me say that there are some people in this room that I've known all my life and I respect as leaders of the African American community.
Hey, Barry, before you keep talking, I need a second. Otherwise, we're not supposed to speak. So, Ms. Williams, thank you. All right, now when I recognize you, you can speak. I'm going to recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, as I say, there's some people in here that I've known all my life that I respect and honor. I don't know how difficult this decision was for Chairman Rand. I imagine it was quite difficult, but let me just say this. I know Chairman Rand to be vigilant and diligent. So he's made this appointment. There will be an election in 15 months. So I'm going to go ahead and move to approve Chairman Rand's appointment of Judge Jody Hoos as Peoria County's next state's attorney.
And we're on the floor. I think generally I let y'all talk before I do, so let's just see where that goes. Welcome everyone who's here on this item tonight, in particular, again, the Brady family, all of you. And John, it's good to see you again. I can't wait for a hug later. Hi, Ms. Vera. Good to see you. Let me recognize Mr. Fennell. Mr. Fennell.
Thank you. This is a bittersweet moment for the loss of Jerry Brady, who did a great job in that position, and we all had a lot of respect for him. I was in the interview process, and I was very impressed with Ms. Hoos's resume, of her involvement in the state's attorney's office in all phases of it, then becoming a judge and seeing the other side of it. And I'm sure that her eyes are wide awake to what has been vocal in the crowd here tonight. And the numbers sure speak very loudly, so I think she will address those. But I look forward to her for being our new state's attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fennell. Ms. Williams?
So I'd like to talk a little bit about how this process worked, just so everybody can be clear. First of all, there were questions about the deadline. I just wanted to comment that the deadline never did expire. We just extended it. But we did that with all three positions that we have currently open, which is District 11, State's Attorney, and the Clerk. We felt that we needed to properly notice the positions, and that's why we extended the deadline. We did all the interviews on last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and each applicant was asked the same questions, and they were given the same instructions on the process. Each person was interviewed 2 times unless county board members were unavailable to do that. So we had actually 2 people that we interviewed that only had 1 interview. We interviewed a total of 10 people for the 3 openings. We took these questions, we actually took into consideration the sheriff brought forth some questions. The state's attorney's office brought some forward, administration, and also HR. So that's how we did it. I think that then we all made a recommendation to Chairman Rand, and then he made the final choice. I would also like to add that we couldn't do this process without Jan in administration. She helped set up all the county board members. She called all the applicants to get them in for their interviews. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate all your work on this. So I'm going to start on my left and go around unless I see hands go up. I'm looking forward to hearing some comments on the subject. Ms. Groves?
I'd really just like to commend you, Chairman Rand, and everyone involved in the process. For those of you that sat on the interview committee, I know that's a lot of time and work put into making the best decision that you were able to make. I've known Ms. Hoos for quite some time here in the Peoria area, and definitely was excited to hear that she will be moving forward hopefully today. She's someone that I've found to be very fair, open-minded, and eager to make a difference here in the community. I also am very excited to see her as the first woman in this role. I think Peoria County is making history, so thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you. Next, show of hands. Mr. Renault, welcome.
Thank you. I was not able to be a part of the interview process, but I can say for the last 20 years, I've worked with 19 different counties in law enforcement, the state's attorneys. I've seen firsthand what happens if a state's attorney isn't qualified and the trickle-down effect that can cause in the community. And I am extremely confident, knowing Jody for as long as I've known her, in her ability, and I fully support this nomination.
It's Judge Hoos, Mr. Renault. Or Your Honorable. Ms. Bestusha.
I just wanted to say that Jody Hoos has my full support, Judge Hoos. And I want to actually thank Andrew Rand for involving members of this board and others in the community, because I think you did make this a group effort to make our choice. You don't have to do that, and I appreciate you reaching out to everyone and making this a community effort, a group effort, and a bipartisan effort amongst this board. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kate. Reverend?
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the Brady family. No matter who ever sits in this seat, it'd be hard to fill Mr. Brady's shoes. And I just want to thank his family for loaning him to the county for so many years. He was an old Spalding boy like me, and he was a great state's attorney, a fair man, a good man, and he will truly be missed. Thank you.
I would occasionally see him standing there behind Deputy Chief Watkins back there. Mr. Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to let Judge Hoos know that she has my support tonight. I was on the interview committee, and I also would like to thank you, Chairman, and Sharon, for you guys did a lot of work, and then I know you had a lot more afterwards. We had great candidates that were that we interviewed. We asked tough questions. They answered them. It was a very difficult decision for all of us to give you our opinions, and I think all of us that were involved tried to were looking out for the best interests of Peoria County, and just want to once again thank you for all your hard work, and also with the Brady family, want to thank you for like Mr. Robinson said, loaning Jerry to us for that time. He was a great man. I really appreciated him too. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Mr. Dillon. Oh, Mr. Fennell, go ahead.
I'd just like to comment again, Mr. Rand, on the process. Since you've been chairman, the process of appointments has been more of a bipartisan and more inclusive and more transparent, and so I want to thank you for that process.
Thanks, Mr. Fennell.
I'm going to echo a lot of the statements that have been made, but to Chairman Rand's leadership on, I know a lot of people gave up a lot of hours last week in the interview committee, and I know it always gets back to that it's a chairman's decision, but unless he gets enough votes around this horseshoe, it's not always his decision, and he included more members than I think I can ever recall in an interview process to give their opinions, to get to some sort of consensus. And from what I've heard, this community is very lucky for the applicants that all applied for it, and makes you feel good about where this county is going with the amount of high quality candidates that applied. And to that is, I find it very promising, and I think a lot of people have taken input in it. And to Judge Hoos, congratulations if this goes through tonight. And I think that you've taken a lot of consideration of what has been said in here tonight to heart. And to the Brady family, I love you guys. You guys have been nothing but family to me and treated me nothing but respect through all the time. And I know that this can never replace Jerry. He did a lot of good. People that don't even know the things that he did for the community, between his Salvation Army baskets, his Friends of Fatherless Boys, his tireless giving to the community. And I know that he believed in Judge Hoos which makes me believe in Judge Hughes, which made me walk door to door for her when she was a judge. So I stand with you, and I'm proud of it. And I don't know if we can ever fill those shoes, but he would be extremely proud that you're the one that's going to fill his shoes today, and I do know that. So I look forward to your leadership in this, and I feel like you will listen to the community. I know that you have. I've seen you stand on doors and listen to the constituents, and it's not just a time frame of knocking on doors. You did it in West Peoria, and I saw that. So that's why I have faith in you and respect you in this tonight. So I respect everything that this board has done, and I think it has been more inclusive for everybody's districts to take away in it. I'm sorry I didn't get to take part of that process last week as I was gone on the St. Jude run, but I know what you guys and women that did in this process gave up a long time. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Dillon. Mr. Salzer, welcome. Good to see you, Phil.
Due to some problems of appointments this past week, last week, I was unable to get involved in the interviewing of our candidates. What I did here was that we had some excellent candidates, and I also want to comment that the three people that spoke tonight, I listened very intently to you, and I already had gotten the message because it dates back from my days as a teacher with having in class many of the young blacks that have become our leaders today, such as I call her Nikki Washington. All of her people who work with her call her Judge Washington, but she was a great person. Albert Perham, Judge Perham, he was a good track person. Probably his best friend, who we lost early, would have become a leader in this community, and his name was Kevin Polk. Kevin Polk, unfortunately, was killed down around Mapleton on his way home from a job that he was working over at Canton. And we've got some great young black leaders, and they're proving themselves right here in the judicial branch. And I'm sure that Jody has worked with those people. And I think Jody she'll listen to your message. What I have found out from her is that she is truly fair, and I hope that she will expand that office with more people of diversity and so forth. But I truly believe that she will do an excellent job for us, and I'm not going to comment about Jerry Brady. I've already said those a couple times at meetings and so forth, but truly, if Jerry was her mentor, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Phil. Mr. Elsasser, welcome. Thank you for making it tonight.
Thank you. It's always good to see a full room. This is very, very special. I do want to thank the people that spoke tonight. It's always very educational and very refreshing to hear from our citizens, and I know it's not always easy to get up and say how you feel about different issues, and we do appreciate all of you coming tonight and airing your opinion. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Watkins, welcome, Junior.
Well, mine's going to be very, very short, but I was on a committee for both candidates, and to be truthful about it, I like both of them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Round two, and go around one more time. Okay. What time is it? Do you still have a jury out, Judge? Okay. Yes. So there were some points of concern regarding listening to the entire community. And since I know from my community work, every single one of you, I think it's easier just to sort of meet with you and take those questions face to face. I just want to add that I began this process with meeting Pastor Hightower on June 24th for about 2.5 hours. And I've had 4 subsequent telephone conversations with him since. So I don't know if there's a little bit of communication changing inside the NAACP, but I would say I'm on Marvin's speed dial. But there's still some additional information here that I think the facts are just twisted. So as opposed to using this forum to correct that, I'd rather hear the questions directly and give you some documents we have that show you the dates, times, and places of calendar and timelines changing, because we have a record of all of that. Judge, welcome. Glad you're here tonight. Of course, the Brady family they were legends before tonight, and they'll be living in our hearts for a long, long time to come. I'm so thankful that the duty to replace vacancies, whether it's in this board or the elected offices in the county, this body is responsible for making those decisions. The chairman only gets to put a name before the body, and this body has to ratify that name. So the disproportionate power that you believe the chairperson has is absolutely countered by the 17 other individuals in this room with the same number of votes. So unless we're going to advance some sort of theory that my vote has more weight, it's simply untrue. And I think the members in this room, in particular the ones that I've learned to work with a lot, don't particularly like anyone telling them how to vote. That's not the way this works. So, Judge, the decision that you've made to take on this responsibility makes me smile, and every time I read any document from your original mentor, Judge Lyons, where he describes it was June 27th, 2000 was the first day Jody Hoos set foot in the Peoria County Courthouse, and everything that flows from that is comical to me, but I note in his notes, excellent impression, big bright smile, reminds me of Jodie Foster, very poised, energetic, seems ambitious, interested in trials and litigations, self-starter, sharp. Such an understatement, because I think in the years since you've been working on behalf of the people of Peoria County here since 2000, he's so underestimated you. So it's a great honor of mine to place your name here tonight for ratification to fill the vacancy of the Peoria County State's Attorney, and having seen the motion placed on the floor and seconded, I would ask the members to please vote.
Fifteen ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. We would be at the clerk's next item.
Next, miscellaneous and announcements.
Any miscellaneous business to come before the board? Yes, you will hear from me tomorrow on the other 2 vacancies scheduled for Thursday, the 8th. Ms. Pastusha.
I just wanted to acknowledge some of the public comments and know that the NAACP's concerns about our community are not falling on deaf ears. So thank you for everyone who made comments, and I appreciate your insight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then we be adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, Judge Hoos.